Hey guys, thanks for coming back to the channel. I'm going to tell you guys something that you probably didn't know, and all you gardening snobs, I bet you didn't know. Tag along. Hey guys, thanks for coming back to the channel. This is Scott from Hidden Valley Homestead. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell, that way you guys don't miss any videos. My wife Olivia and I are empty nesters, just about empty nesters, and we are escaping the city for a calmer, more peaceful, debt-free life out in the country. This is our first house that we bought, and we didn't realize, obviously you never see the future, right, while we're raising our kids here, that we were going to be moving to Idaho. So all these things that we were doing here at this house was kind of like urban homesteading, gardening, fruit trees, disaster preparedness, all kinds of stuff, canning, all kinds of stuff that we were doing that was going to prepare us for our life homesteading off-grid up in Idaho. So today we're going to talk about some fruit trees and how to prune fruit trees. But all of you gardeners out there, all of you people that have orchards, there's one channel that I follow called Heaven's Gate Cherry Farm, and I'm curious if they knew about this technique or not. But I'm going to teach you guys about Espalier. Now that's a pruning technique for trees and fruit-bearing bushes and trees that for a couple of reasons. Number one, it produces more fruit. Number two, it makes the tree smaller and more manageable for small areas. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So in our house right here, it's a small little piece of property, and I love trees. I've always loved trees. But I wanted to have trees. If I was going to have trees in my yard, if I was going to plant them, I wanted a tree that was going to produce fruit. Ornamental trees are okay, are nice, but for the limited space that we have here, I wanted to make sure to maximize what that tree was going to do. Not only is it going to look good, but I want it to produce fruit. So every tree that I have in my yard, whether it's my macadamia nut tree that's in my front yard, if you guys have gone and seen my macadamia nut cracker video, you guys can go back and check that out. And that talks about the macadamia nut tree. That was one of the reasons we bought this house. That plus the wood shop. Leave you guys the link on top for that macadamia nut tree. All the other trees that we put in the backyard, we had palm trees back here. We had some pine spinner trees that didn't do anything. Matter of fact, they were a hazard to the house as far as fire. So we took all those out and I planted fruit trees. Now, the problem with fruit trees though is that you want to have, it's going to be a ball, right? Typically a tree is going to be a ball. If it's a dwarf tree, it's still going to be round. It takes up room. Our kids wanted to play soccer. I wanted to have a great big green area where the kids could play soccer and run around. But if you've got 5, 6, 7 fruit trees in your yard, you ain't gonna have a whole lot of room left to have a lawn. So what I looked at, I found in a gardening book, and I'll show you guys those books here in just a second. But this is Espalier. I have 3 fruit trees against my fence, and if you guys notice that there's a fan shape to all 3 of these trees. These are the main trunks of the trees, and I have trained those trees over 16, 17 years when we first planted these trees. And right now it's actually that time of year where I need to trim them. So there's the main trunk right there with the branches, and they've been trained to go in a fan shape. Now my apple tree, this is my prize tree. You can see over the years where I've topped the tree and I've cut it off so it doesn't grow any higher, because this tree actually was not a dwarf apple tree, but it would want to keep growing really, really high. But you can see where I have nipped off all of the branches over the years, and you can still see one of my sticks that I have zip tied to train the branches to go in a certain direction, to grow in that direction, and to maintain that shape. Here's another stick that I use and zip tied those branches to, and I probably need to take those zip ties off and loosen them, because now the branches started to grow a little bit bigger, probably pretty tight, and I don't want to choke off any of the nutrients. The nutrients in a tree flow underneath the bark, and so if you have something that's going to cut off the nutrients in a tree, it's going to go all the way around it. Here's my nectarine tree. Now this tree is only about 6 or 7 years old, but you can see how I trained all the branches to go a certain direction. I had this thing on here just to kind of keep it from away from while I was doing the siding on my wood shop. In fact, I'm going to take this off right now. I don't need it.
What you doing, Marley?
What's going on? What's going on? What are we doing out here? You just want to play ball, huh? Yeah? What do you think about this? Who? You talking to me? Alright guys, so this is when you start with a smaller tree like this, you're gonna train the main branches. Now there's a couple different techniques, a couple different shapes, and you can train a tree to go any way that you want using a lot of the similar techniques that the Japanese use when they were doing their bonsai tree. But you want to preserve the main trunk and then the branches, and you're going to stick with those branches once you get them to go in the direction you want, and they start increasing in size. But you want to cut off all the branches that go the two directions. So it's a two-directional tree. It's not three-dimensional. It's only two-dimensional. And it goes to the side and it goes to the up. So I'm going to be cutting off all of these little branches right here, because these are suckers. We should also talk about the time of year. Right now it's winter time, guys. I'm a little late, because if you look at these branches, you can see there's some buds. This is California, so the trees are almost growing year-round. They've obviously lost the leaves on this tree, and they've lost the leaves probably for the last month and a half or so. Probably late in November is when we lost all of the leaves. And you can see some of the new growth coming. You can see the new buds with some of the green shoots coming out. So I'm a little late. I'm actually probably about 6 to 8 weeks late in trimming this, but it's okay. It's still winter time. So I get ahead of this before the spring, when it starts to put out new leaves. But I've always gone with my instinct to cut off the ones that go to the sides and let the other main branches grow. Some of these are kind of sticking out, some of them aren't. This would be considered the main trunk. It's the larger piece, so I would be tempted to cut this one off, but because this one sticks out, I might want to put a stick on here to train this one to go straight up, and so it doesn't go out to the side. I'll probably do that a little bit later on, because I don't think I want to leave the main trunk or the bigger branch. This one would be, I would consider almost like a sucker. But some of these that stick out to the side, I can cut those off. Here's some more that come off on the side. Now here's a good example of one right here. When you get the split going, maybe I definitely want to keep this branch. That's a good heavy branch. This one, I'm not sure which one of these I'm going to cut. This one goes straight in line with it, so I'd be tempted to cut this one off, but this one's actually bigger. So everything that I cut and trim is in consideration for what's going to produce the most fruit. Am I going to get more fruit off of a branch, a side branch, or am I going to get fruit off of the main trunk branch? We'll look at that in a second, and I'll show you guys the book, and it tells you how to prune trees. So right now I'm already getting, these are flowers for my apple tree. So these are already coming out right now. So I'm definitely behind in trimming this tree, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now before it's too late. But I'm going to leave that flower right there, as well as there's a flower right there. I'm leaving those. So this is from the root of the apple tree. That is definitely taking away from the nutrients of the tree. I'm cutting that off right now. There's another one right there. Those are trees, apple trees, that came off the roots. Those got to come out. Now if I had a chipper, I'd run all that stuff through a chipper and make compost out of it, but we don't have one down here. I've never really needed one. But a lot of the leaves and stuff can go into our compost pile. That's going to be another video coming up pretty soon here. Gardening season is just about to start here in California. February, March is when we can start planting. So we can actually technically have a garden all year long, but things get in the way with the holidays and all that kind of stuff, so we have never really had much of a garden in the winter time. So anyway, so guys, these trees right here, if you guys, I've talked about my apple tree before. That was my prize tree here because of this Espalier technique. It's a French technique for trimming and pruning your trees and training them to go in a certain direction. Because of that technique, that tree has produced more apples than we can use every single year since we planted that tree. Now we can it, we make apple pie filling, we make applesauce, and then we eat as many as we can. So this is a pear tree, that is the apple tree, and that is it's a nectarine tree. I almost forgot what it was. So let me show you guys the other couple trees I have in the yard here. Okay guys, there's my avocado tree. You guys have a good look at that. That thing's 20 feet tall, and that thing is full of avocados. Now this is my orange tree. Now this is a dwarf orange tree, and as you can see, it's not very big. That's about a 6-foot ball, and that's about it. Now that was in front of my neighbor's house, and they didn't want it. It has some thorns on it. Most orange trees have thorns, and it was in the front yard along the that little strip between the sidewalk and the street. And the kids would always, they were riding their bikes by and they'd get hit by a thorn, and so it was kind of dangerous for a tree like that to be right there in the front. But he was going to get rid of the tree, and I said, no, let me have it. I went and dug that sucker up, and wasn't sure if it was going to survive the transplant, but that's going on about 15 years now when I dug this tree up. And it took about 2 years for it to come back, but it survived, and now you can see all of the oranges that are on this tree. So right here, you guys can see there's a branch right here. That's called a sucker. Now that branch right there is coming from down here at the base, and I need to cut that thing off. And as all that thing does, it doesn't produce any fruit. As all it does is it takes nutrients from the tree. Now you can see that the leaves look like they're a little bit curled over. We had our water turned off because we had quite a bit of rain down here, and so it's just a little bit on the dry side, but we've since been pumping the water onto this thing, and it's kind of bounced back. Now you can see how many oranges that I have on this tree. They're actually a little bit on the small side. This is a perfect example of why you need to trim your trees faithfully every year. I neglected this tree last year, and you can see, and this year, and you can see that these oranges, they're not very big. They are extremely sweet and extremely juicy, but they're not very big. So here is the one branch. That's the one branch right there that needs to come out. And it comes all the way up here. And it goes all the way up into the avocado tree. That one needs to come out. Thankfully I have an awesome helper. There she is. Why are you hiding behind the green thing?
I was trying to move this branch on the other side of this piece of wood.
So would you say our orchard has been successful, honey, over the years? Have you appreciated the fruit that's come off these trees?
I have, very much so. I've enjoyed making my apple pies.
Apple pies. What about the avocados and the oranges?
Oh yeah, avocados are yummy. Oranges are delicious and juicy. Good. Yep. Very blessed with these fruit trees. I definitely like this espalier that you do with the trees, because when the kids were younger, trying to play with the ball, it didn't overtake our whole yard. It was just right along, which gave us some privacy when they were all pruning. So it was really nice.
Pretty neat technique, huh?
Sure was.
So guys, when we moved to Idaho, obviously these trees are going to be warm weather trees, right? The pear tree, the apple tree was actually what they call a low chill hour tree. I'm sorry, am I boring you? Is it just
No, sorry.
just
I'm always yawning.
a Sunday afternoon sleepy day?
Yes, I need my
We
nap.
usually go curl up for a nap on a Sunday afternoon. We had to make a video for you guys and get that thing out there. So we said, well, let's get out there and get it a little more active. So these are warm weather trees. That apple tree was a low chill hour. So those of you that have fruit trees understand what low chill hour means. Your red, delicious Washington apples don't work down here because it's too warm and too hot. The heat will actually kill that tree down here. So this is actually when they turn kind of an orange, actually yellow. That's actually a yellow variety. I forget the brand, the name of this variety, but it does not require any freezing hours. Most of your really good red, delicious apples require some freeze, basically make the tree go dormant. Now my avocado tree and my orange tree and my my macadamia nut tree, those are going to come. I'm not going to take them with me, but I am going to plant new trees up in Idaho. But in order to have those trees survive the cold winters up in Idaho, I have to have a Wallapini greenhouse. So stay tuned for that video in the future when I create and build a Wallapini greenhouse just for those 3 trees. Let's take a look at some gardening books. Guys, here's 3 books that I picked up at a garage. Actually, one of these was a Borders. Now that I think about it, I'm going to say this one, this Gardening Success. It really drives me crazy how expensive some of these gardening books are. And obviously, you can see how much time and effort it took to produce these books with all the pictures and the drawings and whatnot, how thick they are. But I found these. You know what? I'm going to say this was a Sam's Club. I bought this for 15 bucks. Botanica's Organic Gardening, and this thing is just chock full of all kinds of amazing stuff. Gardening Success, I picked that up on sale for 8 bucks. I think originally it was like a $30 book. Western Sunset, you guys all remember Sunset Magazine, one of the most popular sources for gardening and homesteading and whatnot over the years. And this is the one page I wanted to show you guys. Now this starts off with pruning, talking about how to prune and where to prune and what to prune as well as when to prune. And then it says what's wrong with topping. That's something I tried to avoid, but my tree got so big. So here's the next page, guys, about Espalier. So here's the 3 different styles of Espalier. The double U shape, the candelabra, the Belgian fence. Here's a Belgian doubler, and this is a fall
Fan.
or a fan.
The Belgian arch.
So my style was somewhat of a combination of more like a candelabra is what I was trying to do. So the candelabra is what I kind of started to do, and train the trees to be somewhat of a candelabra, to have some big branches out at the bottom. So if any of you guys are interested in that, I can actually take pictures of that. You guys can actually freeze frame that picture, and that'll tell you how to train an Espalier tree. When to prune. Pruning is done in late winter or during mid to late summer. So right now I would consider this late winter, so maybe I'm not actually late after all. Deciduous trees and shrubs are trimmed in late winter or early spring before they resume growth, but after the danger of frost has passed. So guys, you can find books like this at used bookstores, garage sales. Always keep your eyeballs out for stuff like this. Any of these things never go out of style. They never get really out of date, except for all the new organic methods for gardening, composting, that kind of thing. There are definitely some new techniques that are out there. But gardening and pruning trees are almost timeless. There are certain principles that you can use that never ever change, never go out of style, because, well, the plants don't really change, all right? But keep your eyeballs out at garage sales and whatnot for good books like this. I picked these things up for cheap. There's really not a whole lot of excuse for being ignorant for how to prune a tree or how to do gardening or whatnot, but obviously YouTube is just a huge resource for that. So you guys, thanks for watching today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys learned something new about pruning a tree, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you very much. Yeah, don't get my feet. Honey.
That's just up.
Or at least waist up. Yeah. I just don't want my feet in the
Okay, go.
picture. Yeah? You sure? Do I look okay?
More handsome than ever, honey.
I gotta please my fans.
I need the hashtag giggity.
Jiggity?
Jiggity. Giggity.
Jiggity. No, honey. It's called jiggity.
Sorry.
Okay.
Jiggity.
Alright, you hit record?
It is. You hit it.
Oh. Okay.
Nice. Picking your butt.
Scratching
Itch.
my aspirin.
Okay.
Okay. It's weird, I had this all formulated in my mind what I was going to say. I don't want to have my collar up. I don't want to look preppy. Those days are long gone.
That sounded really good.
You like it?
Yeah, you did a good job.
Yeah?
Don't redo it.
Okay. But in the meantime, we're fixing this place up to get it ready to sell, hopefully by the end of this year. But I'm going to show you guys some of the stuff. This is part of our urban homesteading series that we have done, and it give you guys some lessons on how to garden. Okay, take two. That was yucky. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for coming back to the channel. If you guys have not hit that subscribe button, I would love for you guys to. That doesn't sound right either.
Everything you did before sounded good. Just talk about where you said gardening.
All right, guys, this is Scott from Hidden Valley Homestead. This is part of our urban homesteading series, stuff that we are doing, that we've been doing here at this house for 15 years. This is our first house. I didn't want to start with that. Take 4.